not a single one of them is easy. It sounds like it.
Yeah, it does.
That's what they pitch you. It's like, you want to make an extra $2,000 to $10,000 a month, just do this. And then you start to read, it's like, God damn, I gotta like open a business and like create an LLC and like all it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Duel Today podcast with our episode this week of the Side Hustle Special. One of the things I've been super excited to talk about here in our money and personal finance series. Before we jump into that, going over real quick last week's Duel of the Day, thinking about our next big life event that we have ahead of us and see how much everything will cost for it. Remember, we talked about big events in life, purchases, and how to set ourselves up for success there. And then asking if we have gone through a life event, sharing those experiences with our kids or friends, family, inner circle that hasn't gone through it yet, to try to help prepare them for that. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. Let's get into the Side Hustle Special here. Something that is super, I wanted to say in vogue, but I'm not entirely comfortable using that phrase because I think it means something that's, in popularity.
Don't ask me.
Well, we're going to go with that.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know about you, but a lot of the time I spend flipping through Instagram videos, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, this is for the broken, lazy people. And then they go through like the same steps on how to sell a t-shirt online. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
thanks pal for that great information. So it's definitely pretty popular, the side hustle industry, on how we can create some extra money. And kind of going off with the theme that we've talked about a lot throughout this series is we can only invest, we can only save so much money, right? Like the whole mentality of, oh, I'm going to stop going to Starbucks and spending $5 on my coffee, I'm going to make it at home for $1.50, is not going to move you up a tax bracket. It's not going to send you on that luxurious vacation. Maybe if you did that for 10 years, okay, maybe now you have some vacation money. But the thing that we want to focus on is, since we're limited into how much we can save and we're limited to how much we can invest, is focusing on earning more and how we can earn more. And I think the easiest way is obviously going to your boss and asking for a raise. That's the easiest thing. Picking up some overtime, right? You don't have to do anything extra, but branching out into doing something on the side that creates some extra income is what we're going to be talking about today. I'm really going to start off with sharing some things that both of us have done, or we've thought about doing, experimented with, tried and failed at. I fall in all three of those categories. But
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I actually really don't know a lot about some extra side projects or anything that you've tried to do in the past or have really thought about doing. The only thing I know of is what you want to do in the near future here of growing and selling some food out of your place. But that's like my limited extent of what you got going on. But what are some things that have crossed your mind in this realm of side hustle?
Well, dude, there's been a ton that I've looked into. And to touch on the mentality before I go over some of the things that I've gotten into, one of the things that I realized as I was investigating all of these side hustles is that there is not a single one of them is easy. It sounds like it.
It does.
That's what they pitch you. It's like, you want to make an extra $2,000 to $10,000 a month, just do this. And then you start to read, it's like, God damn, I got to like open a business and like create an LLC and like all it. Sure, yes, you have to do those things, but like it works, but it's not just you can wake up, make a phone call, and 10 grand's in your bank account at the end of the month. Doesn't work like that. So for me, that was an important part of the mentality, just because if we're all being fed this stuff through social media all the time, and then all of a sudden you get the urge, you know what, I'm going to go look at one of these. And then the first one you look at, you're like, holy shit, I don't have the time for this. You're not going to look at anything else. And so I hope that everyone already understands that almost no side hustles are easy. A lot of them require a little bit of building, foundation work, but once you get them rolling, you can get some good cash coming in. So for me, one of the side hustles I did do was actually a main hustle for a little while was driving Uber. And especially in today's day and age, there's so many different ways that you can do two different services at once. You're not supposed to, but like those are more like guidelines.
Yes.
Like, but Uber really works. Like if you what I would say with any driving or rideshare or food delivery type things, I would try and plan it out so that the car that you have for that is better for stuff like that. So better on gas, better on maintenance, better on cost of parts, things like that. Because if you're like in an executive or something like that, you're driving around in a super nice Lexus or a nice Acura or something like that, and you're using premium gas, and all of a sudden you're driving 300 miles plus a day doing rideshare, you're not going to make any money because it's all going to go away in gas and then car expenses like maintenance and what have you. So some of the side hustles that you do, and especially with rideshare, I would take that into consideration. But that's something I noticed. I went in with a hybrid, costs were low, I made some good money. I was really picky about certain rides that I would take and wouldn't take at the time. But this was 2018, so things have changed a little bit now with food delivery as a part of Uber and Lyft, different regulations around COVID and different stuff like that. So that's one that I did. I could say that one of my side hustles has been crypto, but like I only traded cryptocurrency for a very short period of time. And like if I made some money, it was like maybe $500 to $1,000. Like it wasn't a huge, haul that I made. And really day trading in particular is probably a side hustle that we'll cover today. But the only thing I would say about day trading, whether it's crypto or anything else, is understand that each time you make a trade, that is a taxable event. And if you do not log your taxes properly, you don't understand how that works, you could end up losing money even though you thought you were in the green. So there's certain subtle aspects of those things that I notice in doing them. But mine were pretty simple. I actually wanted you to talk about some of like the quizzes and tests and stuff that you did. You have to tell everyone about the pizza thing, dude.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was the best. Those are the side hustles. I was like, that's the shit right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so that one, I think the website, it's called the User Interviews. And they basically have a whole bunch of different like focus groups, or some are just surveys. One of them that was like the easiest $20 I've ever made in my life was an unmoderated online task where you like navigate through like a new website that a company is like testing to see if like, hey, if you wanted to look up this, where would you go? And did you find what you were looking for? Yeah, because I have a brain and your website it makes sense. Now, if your marketing information or your research citations are in your product section on your website, I'm probably not going to find it. So, I mean, but again, that was super easy. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things that I've done through that. So honestly, that's probably been the best thing that I have done. Couple $100 over the last couple years.
Now, is that through like one website or one source?
It's all through user interviews. So yeah, if you set up a thing, you fill out, like you get like emails and stuff when new things come out, and obviously they have like a whole page of things you can just apply for, and it's basically just are you checking the boxes of what they need for their client or their survey, because they're just like they're a middleman. Like a company will hire them for market research, and then they connect people. I got the hilarious one. So the pizza one was funny. It was a pizza focus group. I can't say what company it was for and what it was doing, since this is actually,
You
out on
signed
the
an
internet.
NDA, yeah.
Yes, yeah. But that was awesome. I got to talk about pizza with like 8 people for 45 minutes and made like $100. So it was like, that was great.
That's amazing.
I know. The hilarious one, and this is just like how it's set up. So, like I said, the survey or the applications that you got to fill out are like just like demographic stuff, interest based, and it was the way that the questions were being pointed is it was for a new cover or a cover concept of a young adult novel. I'm like, I like art. A lot of my favorite books are in the young adult section. I loved reading all of those books throughout those years, and I still enjoy some of them now. Like, it's great. Then the questions started getting a little bit weirder and more on like how many over the last however many years, how many romance novels like have you read? I was like, probably 0.
Yeah.
Have you ever read Twilight, or have you ever read this, that? And I hadn't actually read those books, saw the movies, but to make a long story short, I basically got signed up for this cover analysis for a young adult romance novel that I have no business being in. But
That's
the
funny.
phone call I had with the lady, she was so nice. It was amazing. She was like, "All right, this is Tyler, right?" I was like, "Yes, I'm Tyler. Thank you for calling me." she goes, "All right, so I just want to make sure and some of the questions I have here that you answered, that everything lines up right, because I really need a male in your age group for this." I was like, "Well, I'm happy to fit the bill." And she started asking me questions like, "So, have you read these, or how many of these, romance books have you read in the last?" I was like, "Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I read quite a bit. I'm not big into the young adult romance sector." And she
Yeah.
was like, "Do you know any titles off the top of your head?" And I was like, "Twilight." She's like, "Okay, that's one." And I was like, I don't really know many past that." She started feeding me titles. "Just say this. You've read this, right? You know of this book?" "Yes, yes." So it was amazing.
That is awesome.
It was fantastic.
If
And
only all side hustles were like that.
I know I'm exaggerating a little bit. I don't think she did anything that was not within her wheelhouse. So if this gets back to them somehow, she did her job effectively.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, no, that was great. That one was great. But I mean, I've done or tried so many things. What you were saying earlier about how people make it sound so simple, and then you actually start doing it, and it's like, this is like impossible. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I saw plenty of videos on being a transcriptionist or writing captioning for videos, and I'm like, oh, this is easy. I type whatever, write a little bit, or freelance writing and stuff, and like you have to go through this huge like application process.
Yep.
And it was funny that I submitted an application process or application. I don't even know what I just said. I submitted an application for a transcriptionist thing. And afterwards, it was literally, "We'll review your application. We'll get back to you within 90 to 120 days."
Oh my God. What?
I'm like, okay, well,
Wow.
we're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But
I,
go ahead.
I had something similar happen. This is actually a side hustle that not a lot of people are aware of. Because I actually think I got a direct email from Amazon that was about this. I have no idea how I got on this list, but it's something called Amazon Mechanical Turk. And apparently they need people to physically like write out what's on images or what's on labels or the instructions or whatever, so that when they go to product pages, things are there. You can, like, I applied for that, but the same type of thing happened with me. Like, we'll review and get back to you in 60 days or something like that. that to me means like they need this, but they're getting like an insane amount of applications, or they
Yeah.
don't know if they're going to actually go through with this. So there's stuff like that out there that it can really be a benefit once it's set up. And yes, setting it up is difficult, but dude, there is just like we just talked about in the span of like 7 to 10 minutes, we basically gave people like 4 to 6 different side hustle options that most of which are pretty simple. We've done them, you know.
Yeah.
The driving rideshare, you download the app, create a profile. As long as your car is within like standards, you can literally go like that same day, most likely, right? So there's other side hustles out there that are easier, or at least a little bit. But I think if everyone has in their mind ahead of time that a side hustle is going to take a little bit of work to set up, it's going to be slow in the beginning, but once it gets rolling, can really help my savings. I mean, that's what a side hustle is for. And
Yeah.
so hopefully that's what you'll get through some of the ones we're going to look through here. I might as well start off with this one just because I've been thinking about it recently. Uh, House stuff. So like I don't know, 2 years ago, something like that. No, I was thinking it was a Dollar General. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I was listening to a book on rental properties, and it was everything about how the guy would purchase properties, how he would review tenants, different things he had in the management structure, things like that. And one of the nuances that he talks about is you can, as a homeowner, you can buy a house, and if you have extra rooms within the house, you can lease out those rooms or rent out those rooms to roommates. You then get those people basically paying your mortgage for you. And all you're doing is just living in the house with them. Now, that's obviously not for everyone, but that kind of is a side hustle. If I remember correctly, you actually have to structure that a certain way and classify your home as your business. And the only way you can do that is like after you live there a year. There's subtle nuances that like don't quote me on any of this stuff for anyone who's listening. Like that's a great way to structure your life to create a side hustle within it, right? Now you can do the same thing but not the living in it part of it, where you buy a property and like set it up as an Airbnb. And that's a great revenue stream. As long as it's in a good location, you have something unique that brings people to the property and you're able to pay off the mortgage every month. Like that's a great way to do it. Again, is it a big investment? Is it work? Is it risky? Yes, some of these side hustles will be. But like for me, what I'm thinking is if I ever move on to a different location or move out of this house, I'm probably going to keep it, rent it out, continue to make money off of it. You know, those are all side hustle type things. They may not be exactly what everyone classifies as a side hustle, but like you're making money outside your normal 9 to 5. So side hustle.
It's not flashy, so therefore it's not a side hustle.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but I mean there's so many things that you can do. And I think whenever, because I've sat down a bunch of times at the computer being like, all right, I really would like to make some extra money. I've got a little extra time now. Salary isn't as much as it used to be since I was going back to school. So how can we fill in some gaps and whatnot? And when you really sit down and you Google a list or something and you start seeing things that might sound good or whatever, and you kind of go through it, it's honestly, I think it's a waste of time. I think I wasted a lot of time doing that.
Mm.
And what I should have done first is really just take a look at and think of not only why do I need a side hustle or why should I get into one, but what is it that I actually want to do? Because there's two kind of categories, I think, where the side hustles fall into. The one is you just need to make some extra money to make ends meet, right? So that's going to look a little different. That's going to be maybe your Ubering, your food delivery, just something you can flex around, that's stable, and it's not, you don't have to go through this lengthy application process and do all sorts of stuff. But the other thing is we spend 40 plus hours a week probably doing something that we don't really enjoy. Otherwise, we wouldn't be looking to do something else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And we don't want to pick something else or do something else that isn't going to fulfill us or isn't going to be something that we enjoy. So things that I've tried to do recently, haven't really made much headway on it, but is focusing on, do you want to create a side hustle that can be turned into a small business? Do you want to do something that you are passionate about that eventually you can leave whatever your full-time main career path or main hustle is? And so instead of mindlessly looking through a bunch of lists and whatnot, I think looking at what we're good at, what we enjoy doing, is going to always make it so much more enjoyable. It's going to make it more profitable, and it's just going to make our life better when we're doing a secondary source of income or a side hustle off of. So I think if you're sitting down and you're thinking, I need to make some money, I want to do a side hustle, asking yourself those questions of, what am I passionate about? What do I enjoy doing? Like for me, like I really like cooking and I like feeding people. I've always wanted to open like a food truck. I've always wanted to just sell food. Obviously I haven't done that yet, but because that has some startup costs to it. They're all going to be a little different, but the other thing I looked at is I like helping kids out. I would love, well, I thought about doing lessons or coaching. I actually like looked into tutoring, and that is also a decent application process. And there's a lot of like legality stuff there. And there's also a lot of like the imposter syndrome. Like, am I actually capable of helping a like middle schooler in science? Like, I don't know.
Like it's mathematics and I took chemistry.
I know. But those are all the things I think are great to ask when it comes to just how I think and how I perceive the mentality side around the side hustles. And really getting into that, I think one of the things that I have tried and still am looking at is there's a website called acx.com. It's an Amazon subsidiary or sub company or something. Mm-hmm. And they look for audiobook readers. And obviously, doing this podcast, trying to just get more comfortable speaking and just have a better projection and better conversation. That aligns with other things that I'm doing. So picking a side hustle, if I can make a couple extra bucks practicing this craft of talking, why not? So that's a great resource. And I mean, to go down the Amazon rabbit hole, I've seen a handful of people have semi-decent success with like self-publishing books or making their own like children's books on Amazon. Like if you're a great artist or you can write a children's book, like that's a good way to impact youth, right? If that's one of your hot buttons, something that you're passionate about, right? Again, like I was just saying, like doing something that is really going to let you do it, because again, like a transcriptionist or freelance writing, it's easy. You type words per minute, you get paid, but I don't care about it. Like, so what is going to drive me to do it when I get home from whatever the job is that I already don't really like, to then come home and be like, oh, I'm going to type 38 pages and make $5, 38 pages of nothing.
Yeah. Well, I think you bring up like the most important, or one of the most important parts about a side hustle. And it's that question whenever they're going into it, like, are they going to enjoy this side hustle that they're looking at? And on top of that, does it align with where they want to be in the future? And really the answer to those questions kind of depends on the person's current scenario, right? Like if they are super short on money, they need to earn money now for an expense, something unexpected. okay, maybe they put up with something that they don't like as much to make that money in the short term. And maybe that side hustle for them is only like 2 months or 4 months long. If that's the case and your scenario is pushing you towards just making fast money, there's tons of ways to do that. But if you're the type of person that's trying to make a side hustle more of like a part of your life, absolutely, you have to do that. I mean, if you hate driving in cars, I hope you would not try ride sharing as a freaking side hustle. Or if you hate pets, like don't pet sit for people or offer to walk their dogs, right? Envision yourself 2, 5, 10 years down the road doing this thing. And if you envision yourself enjoying it or doing it because you love it, it's going to make the work so much fun because like you're going to be doing something that you enjoy. And yeah, are you getting paid tons? No, but you're making extra money from it. And that's all you can ask for in those situations.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be a specific side hustle. One of the things I mentioned here is like if the person's in a position where they're maybe just trying to discover what they want to do for side hustles, volunteer at organizations that are in line with your core values and network with the people that are volunteering with you. I'd imagine that they probably have similar values, right? And that way, maybe you meet someone that owns a business or that knows about a job opportunity and they can point you in the direction that you're looking for. So sometimes starting a side hustle doesn't mean even applying for anything. You can start tons of different ways. So, but those questions are important, asking if you like it or not.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess the one thing I didn't even mention, I technically I am doing a side hustle now with the Superintendents Association. I didn't
There you
really
go.
even think about
Oh,
that.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just for make a long story, well, it's not really that long of a story, but to make a medium story shorter, uh just yeah, the staying in touch with the Ohio Golf Course Superintendents Association, something that like I hold a high priority to because I know a lot of those guys and know a lot of people in the industry, and being able to stay connected with it, but then help out on an administrative side with updating websites, sending emails and stuff. So I'm taking skills that I already have and keeping connections that I already have and using that to help grow the association, hopefully, and getting a monetary reward for that is easy. And so that kind of leads me into the story I wanted to tell. Having your there's probably a lot of people out there that are already doing stuff that could be a side hustle. They're just not selling it, or they're not using their skills or talents as a service.
Yeah.
And so I have an older friend slash acquaintance, I guess, that they had a daughter who struggled like physically. I think she had like a heart condition or something for a while. I mean, she's great now, doing good, but her and her mom started just making like these just like art or whatever. Like it started off being like handprints and just silly kind of stuff just to pass time and whatnot. And then their daughter got like really into art and helping out, and so they obviously got a lot better at it, and they would post kind of updates on how she was doing health wise on Facebook, and obviously people were commenting a lot and just in tune with the story and wishing her the best and a good recovery and healthy life and whatever. And so they kept making the art and stuff, and people were really liking it, loving the pictures and stuff. And then eventually some people were like, can I buy that? Like, can I have this? And so then they started just making it and selling it to people, giving some away. And so just doing things that you're already doing, right? Doing things that you would classify as a hobby, right? That you
Yeah.
just do in your garage or in your basement or something. can net you a couple extra bucks. Another friend of mine loved going to like thrift stores or whatever, getting crappy furniture and just spending some hours refurbishing, making it nice, and then selling it on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh
And
shit.
they enjoy doing it too.
Yeah. And yeah, whenever you can make it, like if it's already a part of your life, selling
Yeah.
it and making some
Yeah.
money, like it's an easy next step. You made me think of something else I researched. This is a side hustle I want to do in the future because it just I love the process and some of the steps. I'm just like, yes, I get to do this shit. And this was the setup. So it was an older couple. Okay. The guy would have his wife go out to flea markets and thrift stores and whatever and pick up jewelry that they knew or had were fairly certain that it was X carat, whether it was 12, 14, 18, whatever. If it was marked, they've got it because it was, they knew that amount of gold or whatever was in the metal.
Yeah.
She would take back all that jewelry. He would put that jewelry through a chemical process to extract the fine metals, so gold, silver, platinum, whatever, and make bars out of them. And then he would sell the gold. And
Wow.
so dude, what's wild is like all you need is certain chemicals, the glassware to hold all this stuff, and then ventilation to get all the fumes out. Um, and then the materials needed to like smelt the metal down and put it into a bar.
Yeah.
That's basically it. And the amount of money he was able to pull out for like what he was getting was surprising.
Yeah.
Now, there's obviously it was something like that, a big investment in materials and setup and things like that. But like, how cool is that your wife is out having fun doing some cool stuff, and then she brings it back and you turn it into money? Like
Yeah.
that sounds
I
pretty
know.
cool. That's a
I
great
mean,
little cool
I've
story.
seen a lot of videos that are like not using chemicals to extract metal, but the whole going to thrift stores or discount stores and getting stuff. And I always see, and I've never tried it, but I think with an Amazon seller app or like the eBay seller app, you can scan barcodes and it'll say like give you a sales history for what the product is going for and how many units are being sold. So you can
Nice.
go around and again, I haven't tried this, so it works great on an Instagram video, but take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just going around scanning a product, seeing how much you can make if you buy X amount at wherever you're at, and then turn around and sell it. And obviously, you have to open up the accounts to sell and whatnot. But um, if you enjoy going to thrift stores, that's a great little thing too. I mean, not necessarily to refurbish furniture, but to find some hidden gem stuff. I actually went out and I tried that once. I haven't actually sold what I bought yet, but I did buy a few things.
Nice.
I went to a Goodwill down the road. This was back when I got lost in one of those big lists of side hustles. It's like, oh, go to a thrift store and buy stuff and sell it. And I spent $12 and I got a nice picture frame, a big like wooden, I guess I would call it a wooden canvas, and a little lighthouse figurine, all like beach house themed. Like it
Okay.
was like this, it was like a white paneled wood thing with a big blue anchor on it with some rope on it.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
picture frame also was like beach house. Like, oh, this will be great. I'll just bundle these three things, like, oh, for your beach house, and sell it for $25 and make $16 on it or
Hmm.
$13 on it. Haven't tried to sell it yet, but it's in the basement. So if anybody listening has a beach house and needs something, I've got the thing for you.
I've got something for you.
But I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, we could go on for a long time here on just all sorts of stuff. But I think as a quick recap, the main things are those two sections or the two groups of side hustlers. The one that I need money now to pay for something, to make a quick buck, make an end meet, put foot, whatever the situation is. And then the other side that is like, oh, some extra money to throw in an investment account would be great. Some extra money for this would be great. And being able to do things that you're passionate about, something that you might be able to turn into a small business, is always good to think about when you're embarking on a side hustle, and just really thinking about what the mentality is behind it, and realizing that for a lot of these things that you're going to see on Instagram, on various lists of the top 10 best side hustles of 2023, are not easy. It's not get rich quick. And honestly, you might not even be able to be approved to do whatever it is that they're telling you that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. The big thing before we kind of finish out here, again, the mentality, making sure that any side hustle is aligned with your values and fits your situation. And also to remember to dive in. Like if you're thinking about a side hustle, but you're overwhelmed by the amount of options, find something that's in line with your values and go try it. Sign up for the account, try to make the business. And if you're a day in or a week in or whatever, and you realize it's not your thing, perfect. You can quit. It's a side hustle. It doesn't matter, but get started and move, because all of these things are trying to help you save more, live a fuller life. And if you sit there planning and thinking forever, nothing's going to happen. So it's the last thing I wanted to mention.
No, good. Very good. So we'll cap that for the side hustle special here. And as a quick little fun duel of the day is checking out some available things in your area that you could pop into, something that you might be passionate about, or realizing something that, hey, I'm already doing some cool stuff in my basement. I got a lot of chemicals. I'm making I'm not making drugs. I'm making gold bars. Yeah. Okay. You might be already doing something that can make you. Yeah. Walter.
Yeah.
Walter White somewhere. You might be already doing something that can net you a few extra bucks if you just see it in that light. So take a look at those things, see how much you might be able to pull together if you just throw in a simple 8 to 10 extra hours a week or so into that side hustle. And that might motivate you to get going, be like, oh man, I could make a couple extra solid dollars here. So we'll cap that one here. Thank you again for listening to Duel of the Day. Stay tuned for our next and final episode of the money series, where we'll be doing our season recap, hitting the high notes of what we talked about this series, and giving you guys one final Duel of the Day to better your personal finance world. Be sure to subscribe to the website at dueloftheday.com and to the podcast channel so you don't miss when that episode comes out. And we'll catch you all next time here on the Duel of the Day podcast. And as always, begin the duel, win the day.
Peace.